The sound of metal clinking against metal filled the small garage. Oil stains covered the floor, and the air smelled of gasoline and hard work. Jake, a young mechanic with rough hands but gentle eyes, wiped the sweat from his forehead. Life had never given him much. He lived paycheck to paycheck, fixing cars by day and caring for his sick mother by night. One rainy afternoon, something happened that would change his life forever. A sleek black limousine pulled up outside his humble shop. The kind of car that didn't belong in his part of town. When the tinted window rolled down, Jake was stunned. Inside sat one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city, Mr. Harrison, a billionaire known for his cold, untouchable demeanor. But it wasn't the billionaire that caught Jake's attention. It was the frail figure in the back seat, his daughter, Emily. She was maybe 17 or 18, pale and fragile, with a wheelchair folded beside her. Her eyes told a story of pain far deeper than her young age should have allowed. Jake quickly fixed the minor issue with the car, but before they left, Emily's gaze lingered on the rows of tools and scraps in his garage. "You build things?" she asked softly. Jake nodded, surprised she spoke to him at all. "Yeah. Anything with wheels." Her father quickly cut in. "Emily, don't bother him. Let's go." But Emily smiled faintly at Jake before the car drove away. A week later, Jake was closing up the shop when he heard the sound of wheels scraping against the gravel outside. Turning, he saw Emily, alone, struggling in her wheelchair. I hope you don't mind," she said nervously. "I needed some fresh air. Anne. I wanted to see your garage." Jake hesitated. "Does your father know you're here?" She shook her head. "He wouldn't approve. But I don't care." Over the weeks that followed, Emily visited Jake secretly. She told him her story, how a car accident had left her paralyzed from the waist down. How her father spent millions on doctors and hospitals, but nothing helped. How she felt like a prisoner in her own body, stripped of hope. Jake listened. He didn't pity her. He spoke to her like she was normal, not broken. And for the first time in years, Emily laughed. One evening, as they talked, Emily stared at an old go-kart frame Jake was repairing for a neighbor's kid. Her eyes lit up. "I miss moving fast," she whispered. "The wind in my hair. The freedom of it. I'd give anything to feel that again." Jake's mind raced. He had no medical degree, no billions of dollars. But what he did have, was a gift with machines. And an idea. For the next month, Jake worked tirelessly after hours. He welded, designed, and rebuilt. He studied adaptive technology, teaching himself through old manuals and online videos. His neighbors thought he was crazy, but he didn't care. Finally, one crisp morning, he unveiled his creation. A customized motorized wheelchair, sleek, stable, and built not just for movement, but for freedom. With trembling hands, she climbed in. The engine purred to life. Slowly, she pushed the controls, and for the first time in years, Emily moved on her own. She rolled forward, then faster, the wind brushing her face. She laughed and cried at the same time, circling the parking lot. From the shadows, a pair of eyes watched. It was her father. Mr. Harrison had been furious when he discovered Emily's secret visits to some poor mechanic. But that day, as he watched his daughter flying across the lot, laughing like the little girl he thought he'd lost forever, his anger melted into tears. He approached Jake, his voice trembling. "Do you know what you've done? Doctors couldn't give her this. Money couldn't buy this. But you, a mechanic, gave my daughter her life back." Jake shook his head. "I just gave her wheels. She gave herself her life back." That moment changed everything. Emily regained her confidence. With her new wheelchair, she began exploring the world again, parks, beaches, even racing Jake down the streets. Her laughter returned to their mansion, something money had never been able to buy. As for Jake, his life took an unexpected turn. Mr. Harrison offered to fund his dream of opening a mobility workshop, building affordable, customized devices for people with disabilities. Jake accepted, but on one condition: I don't want to get rich off this. I just want to help people like Emily. And so he did. Years later, Jake's small garage had grown into a foundation that changed lives across the country. Children who thought they'd never run again were rolling through playgrounds. Veterans who felt forgotten were regaining independence. And through it all, Emily was right there beside him, his friend, his inspiration, and his biggest supporter. The world often measures wealth in dollars. But Jake proved that true wealth lies in kindness, in compassion, and in the courage to do something when others give up. Jake never imagined that a simple act of kindness would change the direction of his entire life. But fate has a way of rewarding those who give without expecting anything in return. Emily's father, Mr. Harrison, wasn't a man who showed gratitude easily. He had built his empire on strict discipline and never depending on anyone. Yet that day in the parking lot, as he saw his daughter laughing in her chair, something inside him broke, something cold that money had built around his heart. He invited Jake to their mansion the following week. Jake was nervous. He'd never stepped foot in a place so grand. Marble floors, gold chandeliers, rooms bigger than his entire apartment. He almost turned back at the door. But then he saw Emily wheeling toward him, her face glowing with happiness. "Jake," she exclaimed. "You have to see this. I went around the garden all by myself this morning. Dad even timed me. I beat my old record." Her joy gave him the courage to walk in. Later that evening, Mr. Harrison sat across. Mr. Harrison leaned forward. "I want to invest in you. Not just with money, but with resources, connections, everything. You clearly have a gift. What if your designs could help thousands of people, not just my daughter?" Jake hesitated. "Sir, I'm just a mechanic. I barely make rent." The billionaire smiled faintly. "So was Henry Ford, once. So was every man who dared to dream. All I ask is that you never lose the heart that built that first chair." Jake's hands tightened around the glass. For the first time in his life, someone believed in him. Months turned into years, and Jake's little workshop blossomed into a foundation called Freedom Wheels. People came from all over the country, parents with children born with disabilities, veterans returning from war, accident survivors who thought independence was gone forever.